with the funds. The dollars that they were getting out of the banks here has caused them to put their money elsewhere for a greater return. I'm not so sure that that money is going to do us any good to get a less return to bring it here to encourage the banks to do anything. I think that we have to have all the banks sit down and understand from the executive that it's all about growth. There are, what I've heard is thousands of employees have been laid off. It makes the process much tougher. But if we can get together, have a vision, I believe that having been a former director of a bank, I'll be able to pull that together.
Mr. McCormack.
Mr. George, I think the best thing is with your leadership, this new 6-month plan, which would kick off right away, that there be a very strong small business component where the banks would be in the room at the same time. We have the opportunity to go forward together. As was just mentioned, there is also a great deal of leverage on the part of public entities that should be brought to bear.
Mr. Scipione.
Yeah, I don't know where people are. I mean, where they're at. Are they reading the business page? Are they listening to CNBC? It's not a question of small business people not being able to get loans from the banks. No small business person wants to get a loan from the bank. I'm not going to go out and borrow money in this mess of an economy. There's plenty of money in the banks. They're flush. Now, I would like to answer the question. I would like to have heard the question is, what do we do to stop the banking system and these huge capitalist organizations from running amok? Greed run amok is what got us here. That's what we've got to stop.
I'd like to thank the audience for their questions. Unfortunately, we're limited on time, so I'm going to ask my final question. And then each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to that, and we'll go in the opposite order from which we started. And my question is this. With the new government, there are going to be many positions that were previously elected that are now going to be appointed by this executive. And I'd like each candidate to describe how he would go about the process of appointing people to some of these very key positions. And since we're going in the opposite order from which we started, we're going to begin with Mr. Scipione.
Number 1, competency. Number 2, diversity. Number 3, teamwork. If I don't have a team player in those positions, we're not going to get ahead. You got to be a team player. On November 3rd, I will start working with council, because council has got to weigh in and be behind these appointees. I'm not going to have a special search team go out and find the best people independent of input from the council. The council will be helping make those decisions, so way before January, we know who they are and we know that they are going to be confirmed. Teamwork, teamwork, teamwork. With council and the same expected from the appointees. Competency and diversity.
Thanks, Mr. Scipione. Mr. Lanci, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for attending today. It's an opportunity that we all enjoy to be able to get in front of a group of people and hear your questions and your interests. Quickly, the way that I've always done it. To do turnarounds, you have to be the COO first. The new transition recommendations are telling us that we need to hire a COO at an expense of over $200,000 a year. Well, if you elect me, you don't need to do that. That saves another $200,000. They also tell you that you need an economic development officer for over $200,000 a year. You elect me, you save another $200,000. Those are things I've done all my life, okay? Those are things that I can manage. I will put the right people in the right positions, the way I've always done. You start working with the people that you have, you ferret out the good ones, and because I've been over 60 of these agencies already, I've got a great list of good people. So I'll hit the ground running on day 1. All I need you to do is to get me there to do it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Lanci. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you. Well, one of the advantages of my candidacy, I believe, is that you don't have to guess what kind of process I would follow in terms of forming an administration, because I've done it before. I've done it in my city. I've served on 2 different transition committees for other cities. You do it by being as transparent as possible, and you extend an invitation to all people of talent, no matter what their political party is, no matter where they come from, whether they're public sector or whether they're private sector, and you build a team and you set a mission and then you carry that out. And if you do that, then you can really start to inspire the confidence that, quite frankly, that this county has lost. We already had a little bit of an inferiority complex, and this corruption scandal has just heightened it and aggravated it. But we have tremendous potential and assets. We just haven't had the right leadership. And if we can engage the community, starting with our hiring process and our leadership team, then we can really start to reignite the local economy and reignite the civic spirit that I know, and I think everybody here knows, still exists in this county. Thanks for your attention this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Fitzgerald. Mr. Dolan.
Well, it starts on November 3rd, day after election, with a transition team that is diverse. So you send the message that groups that have been left out, be it race, be it geography, be it politics, have been left out of this government for the last 13 years. Guess what? The door is open for you. The charter lays out qualifications. We're already ahead of the game. It lays out qualifications for certain positions in there. So we know that through a proper hiring process, with the consent of council, we're going to get the qualified, the best people. We're going to look beyond that, though. We're going to have job descriptions for our employees so that we can match up the skill set needed to perform the valued public service. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to make sure the people appointed, the boards and commission, actually have a skill set that matches up with the boards and commission, so that throughout government you see that this fresh start that we started last year is carrying over with multiple people, a diverse people, and with one common goal, to move Cuyahoga County forward. Thanks again for having us. Appreciate your questions. I look forward to your vote on November 2nd.
Thanks, Mr. Dolan. Mr. McCormack.
Look around this room. Look at the diversity and the strength in this room, your questions, your lifetime involvement. Just think if we unleashed the energy that we have in this room and beyond. If you truly felt as though you had a stake in the future of this county, in the future of this economy, in the future well-being of our young people. I get a sense, and I hate to say this in Steelers Week, but that Pittsburgh is really comfortable with inviting its young, its diverse, its business community together. They're creating energy and jobs. They're filling formerly vacant spaces because they've come together as a community. Eric, you asked about how the appointments would be made. I think the advice and consent that would be most beneficial would be community-wide. It would send the right signal.
Thanks, Mr. McCormack. And Mr. Ellison.
As an architect, I put together teams of people to build projects every day in my business. I think I'd take a similar approach, but in this case, we don't have a new situation, really. Parts of the county work quite well, and I'm interested in maintaining the functionality of the county government, so I would be looking to maintain some of the people that are actually doing their jobs in a respectable way, and then adding to that list of appointees from the most qualified people that I could find through a nationwide search, and with an inclusive process that is representative, sort of the kind of process that has allowed me to be on this platform, where we actually include some of the people, all of the people who share some of the solutions to the problems that we have. And what a bizarre situation that would be if we were included in the future that we're creating here. Thank you very much for including me, and I hope that some of you can vote for me on November 2nd. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Ellison. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's debate. Today at the City Club of Cleveland, we've been listening to Matt Dolan, David Ellison, Ed Fitzgerald, Ken Lanci, Tim McCormack, and Don Scipione, candidates for Ohio's Cuyahoga County Executive. And thanks to IdeaStream for the broadcast support, and thank you to the audience. This forum is now adjourned.